Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
A modern witch's spoken word grimoire.
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense,
Your cauldron and your crystals
and join us
as we get
back on the broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. I'm Layla, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about a Wheel of the Year festival that's near and dear to my heart, Imbolc, a fire festival traditionally celebrated on February 1st. This year is extra special, not only because it's my birthday, but because it's also a full moon.
And I'm Chelle, and I just want to add real quick, and I know I texted you this the other day. This year, 2026, and I'm glad you mentioned this, your birthday is on a full moon. What's crazy about that is so isn't mine.
Isn't yours also the blue moon?
Mine will be the blue moon this year, so you can only get this once in a blue moon.
That's right. Extra rare, extra special, extra blue? I don't know. Anyway,
I'm feeling really into this Imbolc, and I want to start off with a tarot pull. Can we do that? Can we pull tarot into everything?
yes, because I love tarot so much and you love tarot so much, let's just dive into your stash, maybe pull a card for the people.
Okay, so like you said, I've been into this a lot lately, and we did a giveaway back at Samhain that related, and I have acquired the Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot, brand new, and it says it's a journey through Yule and Imbolc. So this tarot deck kind of covers that Yule and Imbolc period, and then the oracle that accompanies it is the Seasons of the Witch Imbolc Oracle, and both of these are by Lorraine Anderson. They're just gorgeous, first and foremost. You know me, I'm a sucker for a gorgeous tarot deck.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
thought, what better time to use my Imbolc Tarot and Oracle than right here, right now, for us, for the people? And let's see what we get for all of us for this year. So if you feel that this
Ooh.
resonates with you, please take note, please journal it, do all the things that Layla says about writing things down. But I'm ready when you're ready.
And go ahead and draw.
Okay, so we've got the Artisan of Winter Pentacles.
Such a fancy name.
It really is. In these decks, the artisan would equate to what is traditionally the queen. So think of the equivalent of the Queen of Pentacles.
Okay.
Now I had a jumper, and just to talk about jumpers real quick, a jumper is when you're shuffling and a card just kind of flies out. I know that you can drop cards when shuffling and things can just kind of go awry when you're shuffling, but when there's just a random card that just flies out, that's kind of called a jumper.
Jumper cards seem to be very popular right now, and I think it's because people are looking for something that's special. And I do think that there are cards that will drop out for whatever reason, and you'll get a feeling when it's fallen out because it's supposed to be in the reading and it wants to be in the reading, as opposed to you're just shuffling to make cards fall out because you like them to fall out, or you're just a terrible shuffler. There's a difference.
To then jump to the Oracle, I have pulled Winter Woodlands. And on this card, it's card number 44. Take time to honor what you feel. Self-compassion is the healing balm you desire. So we've got Artisan of Winter Pentacles, Apprentice of Winter Cups was the jumper, and Winter Woodlands is the Oracle. Like I said, the Artisan is kind of the equivalent of the Knight in a traditional deck. So I'm looking at this kind of as the Knight of Pentacles. It's got a woman at the hearth. She's got her herbs on the table, the fire going behind her. She's definitely creating or making some sort of food thing, I would say, or herbal remedy. Preparedness, getting prepared is what I see in this card.
I love the title of artisan for a knight because knights to me, of whatever suit, are all about action. It's that active, that forward motion. And being an artisan is someone who's learning and growing and got that forward momentum. I like that title for a knight.
I get that sense of preparedness. she's preparing. She's busying herself with getting things in order and prepared. But then the jumper card I got, the Apprentice of Winter Cups, the Apprentice would be the equivalent of the Queen in the court cards. So the Queen of Cups, kind of having that emotional stability, that wise guidance, kind of that motherly tone, Um, maybe how I would equate that back to the Artisan of Pentacles would be being mindful of what you're preparing and how you're preparing it. Keep your emotions in check while you're doing your preparations for the things yet to come, whatever they may be.
It's almost like that Queen of Cups jumped out as a protection, like jumping in front of danger, jumping in front and or jumping out to yell a warning, or jumping out to say, "Hey, look out, you caution."
And then finally, with the Oracle card that I pulled that accompanies it, that 44 Winter Woodlands. Now, this card kind of depicts, kind of funny, it's got an owl in it. I love a good owl. It depicts someone walking a path, looking at the moonlight. And like I said, the card itself says, take time to honor what you feel. Self-compassion is the healing balm you desire. We're still in the throes of winter. Yes, it's Imbolc. Yes, we're halfway to that spring burst, but we still need to take the time and finish up that winter processing, that winter work. There is a light coming, but we're not quite there yet. So I
Yeah.
think all of these relate back to preparedness, being mindful of what you're preparing, taking care of yourself and the things around you before that burst of spring comes. So again, if that resonates with you, there you go.
So what do you think of this deck and the Oracle deck? What do you like about it?
Everything, all of it. I will tell you the one thing I don't like. I'm a creature of habit and I like things the way I like things and I don't like things to change very much. So I get thrown with a tarot deck that changes the names, the artisan, the apprentice. That throws me. I actually had to quick, when I was using this deck initially, I had to quick look up and remind myself, okay, which one is the artisan? Okay, that's like the knight. Which one is the apprentice? Okay, that's the queen. And then I was able to better grasp it. But that's one thing I don't like about certain decks. And this one fits into that category is when they change those court names and throw you for a loop. But gorgeous cards.
Now, with the names being changed, is the symbology on the card, like you said, they're gorgeous. Is the symbology enough with the changed name to still give you those images, that divination, the story, the words? Can you look at the images, and even if the title of it isn't resonating, is there enough imagery to give a good reading?
With this deck, absolutely. I can't necessarily say that about every deck that does that, but with this deck, absolutely. Like I said, with that Artisan of Winter Pentacles, she's preparing, she's doing the work, which that's what I think of when I think of that night. The movement, the doing, the making it happen, the action is there or started. And when I saw the other card, the Apprentice of Winter Cups, which again is the equivalent of the Queen, she's sitting on a wood stump, writing in her journal. She's got her candle lit and her chalice there with a cute little white fox at her feet, but she's journaling, she's writing, she's
Yeah.
taking it all in, she's processing. And that card actually has a dark moon in it. It's got the black moon behind her. She's processing in journaling her magic, her thoughts, her ideas. So yeah, I do get those vibes. It's just sometimes the name throws me off.
I got very strong Brigid vibes, very strong Imbolc vibes from that Queen of Cups card. The Apprentice of Winter, what?
Winter Cups.
The Apprentice of Winter Cups card. And I agree with you when authors and artists put their own spin on it. It throws me off. If I'm
Right.
going to do like a really deep reading, if I want to just be able to jump in and do the reading without having to think too much about it, I'm going for a Rider Waite clone every time because that's what I
Right.
know.
Right.
That's where my history's at. But if I'm going to be doing journaling or self-reflection, I really like the ones that are super different because it forces me to get out of that habit and to kind of look at it a little differently. Because especially if it's for me, I have a hard time being objective. So if I have something that makes me look up the meaning and makes me go like, wait, what is that again? it kind of helps me to be outside of myself when I'm reading for myself, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get that. I totally get that. And it's not even like the meaning I had to look up. It was like, what does this equate to in my mind? You know what I
Right,
mean?
because thankfully the images are rich enough. Sometimes even the images just don't give you anything, and those
Right.
decks just don't resonate with me. But at least if the images are like, oh, that's the Queen of Cups, that helps if it has a lot
Right,
of
right.
rich and layered imagery. So I'm glad that this has at least the really good images to go with it, even if the names are a little weird.
I mean, if you're familiar with the Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks, the tarot deck follows that same artistry. And for the Imbolc Oracle, it is lined in that blue metallic, whatever the hell it is. I don't even know if it's metal, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
And the tarot deck has it and the Oracle deck has it, which, I love. I think it's cute, but I am going to question how long will that hold up and how durable is that going to be over time.
I have a love-hate relationship. I don't think it's the gilding's not necessary. It is pretty, so I kind of like it for that. But as you know, if it's a deck that I use a lot, I find that it chips and flakes, and that's no fun for anybody.
Well, with these being seasonal, it's not like I'm going to be pulling these out in June.
Good point.
So
Very good point. So hopefully you won't have to worry about it too much.
there's my tarot for the day.
And one of the reasons I'm super glad that you did that is because this episode is Imbolc focused and a little bit Brigid or Breed, the goddess, focused. And she's all about divination, the spoken word. She's about looking into the future. And so this is a wonderful thing to do for Imbolc, is to do readings for each other, do readings for yourself or the people that you care for. All right, so let's start right off with what is Imbolc?
Well, I'm glad you asked. When you look at the wheel of the year and we're taking our ticks and notches in the wheel, this is one of those they call a cross quarter. So you have your solstices, you have your equinoxes, but then you have these cross quarters. And, we always have our summer one that we say is the forgotten holiday. But I feel like in the winter, this is the forgotten holiday as well.
Maybe. Maybe with all the holidays we just celebrated and the fact that it's still cold and dark, sometimes people are burnt out and maybe February 1st is a little too soon for another holiday. But it can also be an excuse to think ahead, thinking about the warmth and the spring and the growing light. And I think most times people are happy to take that excuse to celebrate that we've almost made it out. We're almost out of the dark. Spring is almost here. We have almost come out of the dark season. It's that fire festival. Hey, we just had the longest night and now we get to start to celebrate that spark. And it is a cross quarter holiday. It's supposed to mark the exact halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, which is roughly February 1st, but not astronomically. And we'll get into that in a second. So it's traditionally right around February 1st, and it's usually celebrated from sunset on February 1st until dawn on February 2nd. So you'll see some people say February 1st or February 2nd.
Now, the other thing I equate with Imbolc, you're going to have to excuse me here for a minute because I have to say this. Groundhog's Day. There. Punxsutawney Phil. I said it.
Sure. He is the patron saint of Pennsylvania. No problem.
He really is. But I think that the theory behind Groundhog's Day is really a testament to Imbolc itself. Is that light coming sooner and quicker? Is it not coming sooner or quicker? That's probably been the universal question throughout the history of humans this time of year. Think back a couple hundred years, people had to be sitting there saying, will this winter ever end? So I think that in the spirit of Groundhog's Day, it is something that kind of gives you hope. Whether you believe in Punxsutawney Phil or not, there's an element of hope in Groundhog's Day that, yes, everything will thaw. Yes, everything will bloom. Yes, the cycle will keep going and we'll keep ticking those notches on that wheel.
There's a story, a folk story that's even older than Groundhog's Day, and it goes back to the Cailleach, and it makes that story of the groundhog make more sense. It never really made sense to me. The groundhog comes up and sees his shadow because it's a nice, beautiful day out. So that means we're going to get more winter. But if he comes up and it's a shitty, yucky, snowy day out, that means spring's coming sooner. It never made sense to me. But then I learned the story of the Cailleach and her Imbolc story, because this is her season. We are midway through the season of the Cailleach, and she's getting weaker. They talk sometimes about Winter's back being broken coming up here soon, and she's getting to that point. So she knows she's got time left here in the cold, and so she needs to prepare. And so the story of the Cailleach on February 1st says that she's out gathering wood for the remaining winter months. And if she wants winter to be really long, she makes sure that on February 1st, it's a bright, sunny, beautiful day so that she has time to go out and gather a lot of firewood to carry her through 6 more weeks of long, dark winter. However, if she forgets and she falls asleep, and then winter takes over on February 1st, she doesn't have time to go out and gather the wood. So she's like, well, screw it. I didn't get enough wood, so we're going to make winter short this year. And so she makes springtime come sooner. And that made sense to me. Now I was like, oh, I get it. Now it makes sense why if it's a nice day, winter's longer. And if it's a crappy day, winter's shorter. I love wrapping that up with the idea of hope. You're planning and preparing, like those tarot cards said, because you have that hope. You have to be prepared to get through the shitty part, but you have the hope that it's going to be over and done with. I like that.
Why did they pick a groundhog? I'm just curious. I mean, a goat, a cow, a cat. Like, I don't know why they picked a groundhog. That's
I
just
think
me.
it's that idea, just like what you were saying earlier, the idea of something coming from the earth, something growing up from the earth, things that were sleeping underground, like a groundhog. Things that were sleeping are now stirring and starting to come up and hopefully starting to spend more time above ground. So maybe that's why, because it's a creature that was sleeping and quiet underground and is now starting to stir and show itself above ground more. Yeah. Spring is not here yet. I mean, we're not even at Ostara where you have the first glimmerings. You just have the first hints of the first glimmerings around Imbolc. This is when traditionally the lambs would be born, Imbolc or Olmec, in the belly or in milk. And this was the time when the lambs would be born and milk would flow. And so that it's just the start of, oh, hey, the lambs are being born. So spring is coming. Rebirth, renewal is right around the corner. So it's a fire festival to honor that and to celebrate that strengthening sun and that growing light.
Now, you mentioned something I want to circle back to. You mentioned the moon and that, and this is also considered the beginning of the lunar year. Damn it, we as a society have so many New Years. I'm having a hard time keeping track. Just saying.
Right. I think the Lunar New Year will be February 6th. And that's interesting because earlier we were talking about Imbolc being a cross-quarter festival. And I mentioned that celestially, it was halfway between the Winter Solstice and the Spring Equinox.
Correct.
And this year, the celestial midpoint between Yule and Ostara is February 6th, which is also the Lunar New Year.
Just very interesting. Very
interesting. This is an interesting year all around. I mean, it is a 10-year, it's a beginning year, so it's a 1 year. It's a lot. There's a lot going on this year. It's going to be a pretty crazy, hefty year.
Now is also a good time to kind of incubate ideas, germinate ideas, time to flesh things out. For you and I and for the podcast, this is traditionally our time of year where we kind of plot out the direction we're going to take this year and, what are our goals? What are our plans? Same thing with just people in general, this is where people kind of say, okay, this is what I'm going to try to accomplish in the spring or maybe in the summer. We talked the last couple of episodes how I hate New Year's resolutions, but this kind of feels like the time where you kind of make those future commitments and start acting on them, start making that foundation. I always look at Imbolc as like the foundation time. You're kind of building that foundation. You're taking those ideas, you're jotting them down, laying them out, you're working things out so that as that light comes and as the warmth and the sun come back, you are ready to act on those things that you've plotted and planted. Maybe not necessarily planting the seeds yet, but preparing to plant the seeds.
I love that you said that because Imbolc to me has always been very much a hearth and home festival. Because even though the winter solstice is the celebration of the return of the light, it's still that darkest night. And it's the freaking holidays. There's so much going on. Like you might be making your home cozy, but you got a lot of shit going on, right?
I don't even know what happens between December 26th and like January 2nd, let alone, I don't even know what that week is. It's like a void.
And Ostara, it's starting to get nice outside. I've got gardening and outdoor things to prepare for. I'm preparing to go outside. So for me, I always find that Imbolc is calmer. The holidays are over. The craziness has passed. I've kind of settled back into my routine. I can really kind of make my home cozy. It's too freaking cold outside to do much there. Now is the time to celebrate here, right now, my house. And so I also like to get into tarot more. I like to read more. And these are things that honor that type of deity, Brigid and the Cailleach, Danu and mother deities. Think of what would your mother want? What would you, in a mothering feeling, want to give yourself? How would you mother yourself and your space? And so this is the perfect time to make your space wonderful, cleanse your space, reward your space. And we'll talk about some of that later in the episode. But it's also a time of divination. Brigid, who's traditionally celebrated Imbolc, is also a goddess of prophecy and personal growth. And since that sounds an awful lot to me like tarot and journaling, it's also a really good time to pull out your cards and your journal and dive deep into yourself, into what you want for the year, into your goals and your dreams. Dig into the nitty gritty, play with the cards, do some new and different things because, you're in your cozy, safe place. And this is the good place to kind of dig into tarot and divination.
You want to hear something shocking?
Yeah.
I have a tarot spread.
I love it. I do too. Yes. 2 tarot spreads for my birthday. I'm very happy.
Okay. So I've been into small spreads lately. I've been doing 2-card daily spreads. I don't know why. I'm just into the short spreads lately. So
it's the Imbolc Brigid energy, I'm telling you.
Right? Less is more. So this is going to be a 3-card spread. And you're just going to lay them out, 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter what order, but card 1 is supposed to be what lessons or revelations came out of this deep winter and what is stirring deep within you. What's your spark?
Oh, I like it. All right.
Number 2, what do you have to burn away and what is ready or getting ready to be planted? This is the time where you pick out your seeds. What are you planting?
So like you crop clear, like you burn away and then get ready to plant.
Pick out what seeds am I going to plant. And then the 3rd card is how am I going to prepare? What is my inspiration? What do you need to know to carry you through this plan? And I think that taking the lessons that you've learned over the dark period and transitioning them into fruition is really kind of where we all need to be. So there's my spread, 1, 2, 3.
I love the simplicity of a 3-card spread as well because it's moving towards a direction. Each card builds on the other. It's pointed in a clear direction. It gives you very clear focus. Smaller tarot spreads are excellent for that.
Again, sometimes less is more.
And now we're going to talk about more being more.
You love more.
Well, no, you see, it's funny because usually I'm the one who's like, oh yeah, let's do a 2-card pull or a 3-card pull. And
I'm like,
and you're
pull
like
15.
Let's pull cards in the shape of my age this year. And I'm like,
yeah.
All right, okay, let's do that. So I find it kind of funny that you're with you to pick 3 cards and my tarot spread is 10.
Yikes.
Oh, but it's fabulous. I'm telling you. So what I'd like you to do, Chelle, is lay the cards down to make it easier to follow along because this spread is greater than the sum of its parts. So I know you have a deck right there.
I do.
I'm going to tell you how to lay it down. And then I want you to lay it down so you can see this. For everybody else, we will post pictures on socials and on our website so that you can see all this. I call this Breed's Fire.
Okay.
And it's shaped like a flame or a pyramid pointed straight up, upward pointed triangle.
Okay.
Now it's 10 cards. Again, this is a 10 or a 1 year. First, shuffle your cards, and then you're going to lay down the first row of cards. It's going to be 4 cards, but you're going to lay them right to left.
On the bottom of the triangle?
The bottom of the triangle is 4 cards, and you lay them down right to left.
Right to left? That's so weird to me.
Yep. This is your base layer, the first weaving. And sometimes when you're walking a spiral, it looks like you're going backwards.
Okay. Let me just give it one more shuffle.
Okay.
Okay. I got my base cards. 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4.
The next row is going to go left to right. It's going to be 3 cards, and you want to place them just a little bit on top of the cards beneath it.
Okay.
So that they're touching.
Okay.
And then going right to left above that, you're going to place the next 2 cards in the next row.
Just 2?
Just 2. And then 1 at the top. You should have a triangle with 4 rows, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I do.
And they should all be touching.
They need to touch?
They should. They should. You should have them touching. You want the row above to overlap just a tiny bit, touching the row beneath it.
Okay.
Okay. So the bottom row is the seeds and the work and the foundations that you're laying for the year. Both work that you're doing on purpose and also the things that your habits, that the forces around you, the forces in your life, the journey that you're on kind of lay for you. You know, the things that you put in your path just because that's who you are, as well as the ones that you put there on purpose. This is your foundation.
Can I just point something out to you real quick?
Sure.
So remember I pulled the tarot card at the beginning of the episode?
Yeah.
I pulled one of those in that spread and I shuffled it really, really good.
Interesting. All right. The next row, the 3 cards, that is this season. That is February, March, and April. So Imbolc through Ostara to Beltane. That's what the next 3 months, what this season, Breed's season, Imbolc to Beltane, has in store for you. What does she have to give you, and what does she want from you? So this could be things that will be given to you or lessons that you have to learn. The next 2 cards, these are the energies that are stirring just beneath the surface that are about to come up. What's ready to break free? What's been brewing for a while and is almost ready to surface? Alternatively, what surprises might be in store that you should have been expecting, that you should have known was just under the surface. And then the last card, the one on top of the flickering flame, that's the card that you've been asking for. That's what you're reaching for. This is what you're hoping to get, right? At the top of that flickering flame, when you make an offering to deity, that very little dancing flame at the top that changes into smoke, that sends your energy to the universe, your request to the universe, that's what that one card is. That is what you're hoping to get. That's the culmination of your spell reaching to Brigid and the universe.
I just want to point out at the top of my triangle pyramid flame was the star card.
Very nice. Now, the fun thing that I have found from doing this reading over and over and over again is that much like gazing into an actual flickering flame, the more I gazed at these cards, like if you'll notice, running up each side is another set of 4. And in the very center, that card, it's usually the middle card of the row of 3 cards. That's your significator card. And you'll start to see all of these different things popping up and showing up, these different connections, much like gazing into a flame starts to bring images and connections that you wouldn't normally see. Gazing into this flame spread does the exact same thing.
Oh my God. So the center card in the 3 row is the same card I pulled at the beginning of the episode.
And you'll find all sorts of different weavings and connections. The more you gaze at this reading, the more patterns you'll start to see, just like gazing into a fire, just like gazing into a flame.
I love that. And I love using my Imbolc tarot for that, because I feel like how you assigned the positions really flew well with this tarot deck.
Yep. And it's important that you start from right to left and work it as a weaving going up, because it weaves as a flame.
But if you don't, it's okay, because we forget things sometime and it's fine.
That's right. The tarot spread police are not going to come knocking on your door. Rider waits.
I love that. I like that spread, and I actually texted you a picture of mine.
I saw it. I love it. And I started thinking about this episode in tarot, and legit that just started coming to me, and I was like, this is really good. And I laid it down, and every time I lay it down and look at it, I can't stop the connections and the visions. It literally feels like looking at a dancing flame. I kind of like it with the cards more smushed together. It starts to look like a flame. It's just, I love this spread, and I don't know where it came from, but I'm fucking in love with it.
Nice. You're right. Usually I'm like, how about we do a deck or a spread in the shape of blah, blah, blah.
Right. So we channeled each other for this, apparently. So that is Brigid's fire. And I like that because this is a fire festival. honoring yourself and honoring that growing light for this holiday means lighting candles or using red or using song, using that type of vital energy that a candle and a flame represents.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something I wanted to point out is if I am ever going to have 30 to 40 candles lit at any given time, it's going to be for Imbolc. I don't know if I'm trying to get the heat, I'm trying to get the light, but this is, some traditions call it Candlemas for a reason. This is almost like you're invoking the light, you're invoking the warmth, you're invoking that spark. And this is really what I see as a good time to kind of do a lot of candle work, whether it's gazing into the candle and doing divination, or maybe you're doing candle spell work, or maybe you're just burning a candle just to connect with a higher spirit. But this is a good time to utilize lots of candles, in my opinion, in a safe manner.
In a fire safe manner, says the child of the fire investigator.
That's right.
So, this is a fire festival, which is fun. Brigid is a goddess of fire, but also of water. And I love that because it's cold. It's either muddy or snowy. So there's a lot of water out there in the Northeast USA. So I like that
Oh,
she's
yeah.
also, Brigid of the wells. You'll hear that a lot. Brigid of the lakes, Brigid of the water, Brigid of the chalice, Brigid of the wells. So celebrating her at wells or at water is also important. But lighting candles celebrates not only Brigid, but the growing light, the growing sun. The days are getting
Right.
longer, and that hope that you were talking about at the beginning, that hope and the coziness. We're going to get out of this. We're in the deep dark. We know that that light is coming, so we're going to try and at least be cozy while we do it. So let's light a few
Right.
candles and enjoy the space. And Imbolc is also about purification. So I kind of wanted to combine those ideas of having your space be cozy, celebrating that returning spark, but also with a little bit of home magic, with cleanse your house, get out the bad stuff, and then ward it, seal it, and protect it for the seasons to come.
And when I think of warding, the first thing I think of is setting boundaries. And everybody's always talking about setting boundaries in their personal space or setting boundaries with their emotions or their mental health. And I think people have forgotten about setting boundaries in your space.
And what's more important than the place where you sleep, where other than work, you probably spend most of your time? Setting your boundaries there where you keep all your favorite shit is pretty important.
Where you keep your 250 tarot decks, man.
That's right. That's right. We need to have some pretty good boundaries there. And we're getting ready for spring. And it's funny because we talk a lot about, oh, it's a holiday. Let's clean. There's actually a reason for that. It's very important to start with a clean base. We talk about like for like magic and the doctrine of signatures
We're
because
talking about prepping for new things and planting seeds. Part of clearing out the old is clearing out the shit and the clutter and the dust and the dirt and the mustiness. And you have to make way for bigger, badder, better.
exactly. And what better way to do that than to actually
Clean.
purify your space, clean your space. And it's been psychologically proven that getting rid of the clutter and the mess in your environment reduces stress and inflammation in your body. It helps your brain to be more at ease and more calm. And so, if that is what you're striving for magically, if those energies are what you want magically, then putting in the mundane work to have those energies in your mundane space as well is vitally important.
Absolutely. And speaking only about myself, I am not throwing anybody out there, but if you relate, I tend to pack rat a lot of stuff over the winter. I don't know why. It's a thing. It's like every winter I somehow turn into like a hoarder or something. I don't know. So it's a good time to, do I need this in my life? And that could be physically, mentally, emotionally. Do I need these thoughts, these feelings, these physical objects? Going back to paving the way for bigger, better, better, sometimes you need to let things go, and that could be in a material, physical, emotional, mental way. And
Mhm.
this is a good time of year to do it because Once that sun is out and those temperatures go up, it's all about being outside in nature, man. I ain't cleaning.
Exactly. And with the sun lightening getting stronger, why don't you lighten the load in your life as well? And before you can set your boundaries, so when you're going to set a physical ward, a boundary around your house, that's basically sealing everything out and everything in. So you want to start with a good clean slate before you do that because you want the energy that you're sealing in. Miss, I lived in a haunted apartment and sealed all the ghosts inside.
I was young. Back off.
We'll talk about Chelle's misadventurous youth in a moment, but the point is that physically cleaning your space is a magical step as well. As you're cleaning, you can be thinking about all the things in your life that you want to energetically get rid out or work through. I do some of my best thinking while I'm scrubbing floors,
Right?
you know? So clean your house and set the intention that as you're doing this decluttering, this cleaning, you are getting rid of what doesn't serve you any longer, physically and magically. You are freshening the space. You are opening up the pathways. Think about energy movement like feng shui. I know that you practice Reiki and energy movement, and I know feng shui is very similar. This idea of the energy in your space can be blocked or it can be clear and flowing. So by cleaning your space and decluttering it, you're able to let the energies of your home spirits, your land spirits, your own magic freely move about the space rather than getting blocked. And I know you're a Reiki master, Chelle. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about energy movement and how that relates?
Well, there's the old adage that if you walk into a room and you see somebody that gives you a horrible feeling, it's probably correct. Same thing with your home. Have you ever walked in and it just feels heavy and it just feels sludgy? That's not the environment that we want. We want our personal space to be that light space. Work is supposed to be sludgy. Home isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to kind of do that, not only physical cleaning that we kind of talk about and joke about, but that spiritual cleaning. And, you said you kind of picked on me about I sealed in all the ghosts. Sometimes you want to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that because you remember the years of my grandfather following me around from apartment to apartment. I would always clear that space, but do it in a manner that if I've welcomed you in, you can come and go freely.
Yeah.
But if you are not welcome, keep your distance because these are my boundaries. It's almost like you're leaving a door open for the visitors you want, but closing the door for the visitors you don't want. But if your energy isn't good and safe and clear at home, where the hell is it going to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I love what you said about feeling the energy in a room when you walk in, because that's one of the things that I like to do either in a new home or if I'm doing this type of energetic cleansing before warding my house. As I'm cleaning, I like to go into each room and really listen to it, look at it as if I'm a visitor, sit on the floor and look at it from different angles, get up on the back of a chair. I'm very short. Maybe I'll stand on a chair, look at things from different perspectives, smell it differently, turn on different lights, maybe open blinds you don't normally do, but really feel the room. Listen to the energy of the room as if you've never been there before. Try to walk in and see what that room is really saying to you. Let the spirits of your place speak to you. You'll find areas that feel stagnant.
Off.
Yeah, you'll find areas that are upset, areas that feel good, areas that feels prosperous. Note those areas. See what might be causing it. And as you're cleaning, try to pay attention to that. And like Chelle said, some of them you'll want to let go of and change, and some you'll want to keep and to foster. And so note what those energies are like and what you want it to be. If there's a room that has really positive, strong, powerful, get up and go energy, and that's where you like to sleep, maybe you need to rearrange some things so that
Right?
maybe that's your office and you find a room that has more of a calm vibe to be where you sleep. And so set things up so that energy can flow and so that you're acknowledging the energy in the space as you're doing that initial cleansing.
And you want to keep in mind that there is energies that you may or may not be able to clear or change or get rid of or
You might need
keep.
to work around.
Yeah, and that's just called life. I mean, magic is magic, but you can't change everything.
Exactly. So that's why if you find that that energy, maybe the spot where you like to sit and read your books, you just can't sit still. And you discover that maybe there's an energy vortex there. You'll need to change where you sit and read your books to a better, calmer spot because you won't be able to move that energy vortex.
Right. There's some energy you just can't. You just
Yeah.
can't. You just
But
can't.
knowing that about your space is an excellent step towards being able to ward it and protect it. So you want to cleanse it. You want to get that energy flowing properly. You want to acknowledge what energies are there and what you can change and want to change and what you can't or don't want to change.
Or what you want to block or not block.
I like to start that whole process with incense and with music. Not only because it helps my lazy ass get up and actually do the cleaning. I mean, if I've got some energetic music and I've got some good smelling incense, I'm like, oh, wow, this is nice. What else can I do to make my space nice? It not only helps with that, but it also sets up my first boundary and it sets up an air boundary. Music or sound, which again, fabulous for Brigid and for Imbolc. Also fabulous to draw air. You can draw an air circle around your space while you're cleaning that's kind of semi-permeable, right? The idea with this air bubble is that you're sweeping out negative stuff as you're cleaning and you're pushing out all that negative and it can go out the air barrier, but it can't come back in.
Come back in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just fresh air and sunshine through that air barrier. But whatever you sweep out stays out. It can't get past that air barrier. So I like to kind of do that first as I'm cleaning and kind of feeling the energy because that gets the cleansing and the warding started in a way that allows, like I said, negative out, only positive and freshness back in.
I agree with that 100%. My next step is then I kind of like to then create my wards, create my boundaries. I'm a fan of doing sigils with chalk above windows, above doorways, near faucets, near Wi-Fi connections, kind of putting that filter at all points of entry. Again, I like to do the sigils with chalk, but you could do amulets, you could do salt barriers, whatever your thing is. But after that cleansing, I think that you need to then kind of set that boundary going forward so that you are in control of your space, not outside energies.
Exactly. So first step is to set that barrier, cleanse your space. The next step is to then ward and seal and bring in just the energies that you want. Maybe you've got a symbol that's your symbol. Maybe you have some runes or some magical symbols that you really like. Or maybe you choose some magical protection symbols, or you come up with a sigil or multiple sigils to represent energies that you want in your space or energies of protection. Go through the house with your wards, whatever symbols, sigils that you have come up with. You can take bay leaves and an oil that you like, or rosemary. These are very highly protective things. Like Chelle's chalk, you can take the chalk and you can charge it or anoint it. The idea is to mark each entrance to your home. And because it's Brigid's day and she is Brigid of the Waters, make sure that you pay close attention to any faucets or any ways water can get into your house as well.
Your damn toilet, man.
Just like your boss. So go through and either in chalk above your openings or using your oil or your blessed water, your rosemary, your pine, your sage, whatever you're using to bless your home, walk through and physically mark all of these entrances, mark it. And as you're doing it, the idea is this is mine. I'm peeing on this house. This is my space. I am claiming this space and putting your mark literally on everything. Only what I want stays here.
No penetration without permission.
That's right. Needs freaking consent, man.
I'm a fan of the chalk, but I have lived places where I didn't want to do that and just would use like moon water. Hey, there's a use for moon water if you were looking.
Love moon water for the cleansing part of this as well. It's fantastic for that.
But when I do it, I kind of visualize it as like a netting, no penetration without permission. Obviously, I have my spiritual advisors, we'll call them, that obviously can come freely wherever and whenever, but there's also a barrier for those entities and energies that I just say no to. I visualize that netting, but again, just kind of like you said, peeing on your territory.
Yeah. And then for the last step, the third and final step, I then like to bring out the big guns. This is where I like to put out actual physical wards, either outside my house, around my property, or, if it's an apartment building, it can be outside the building, or it can be on the farthest perimeter of your house on the inside. And this is where I like to take either large stones or statues, or maybe even a witch bottle or a mirror. Take something big, something that I have done magic, protection magic, and workings over. In the case of a stone, it's easy enough to just hold it while you're meditating and push into it the idea of it being a boundary, of it being a protection. A stone can be part of a wall, so have it think of being a wall, a barrier. Remind it that can be part of something bigger like that to protect your home, and set that stone or statue with those intentions, and then set them at the perimeter to guard your house and to make a magical barrier, which is a very simple way to do that. Mirrors are a next step. You can do those in your home. It's very easy for people who live in an apartment building who maybe can't set stuff outside. But if you get a bunch of mirrors and ritually charge them with the idea that they are a wall, a barrier, a literal way of reflecting negative energy back to someone. These are fun because you can put on the back of it, just write in marker, magical oils, however you want to do it. Drip candle wax in the shape of a protection rune on the back of the mirror if you'd like, that it returns to sender, and you can keep those in your house. And then the big one are witch bottles.
I love a good witch bottle. I love things you put things in. And this time of year, you can get a lot of those clear plastic ornaments, tree ornaments. And I think they're perfect for witch bottles. And it depends, if I'm doing something like protection, I'm getting all my herbs, I'm getting some crystals, I'm just collecting things to create. I don't like necessarily burying them, but it would be something I would hang in a window or hang on a porch. Again, marking my territory. No shame in my game, man.
Yep. I like witch bottles in a couple different ways. Glass bottles or plastic clear bottles, like you said, Chelle, that you can hang in your house. I like those to be pretty, or I like them to have a lot of stuff in it, like a lot of sand or a whole bunch of crystals, because the
Yeah, you got
idea,
jam-pack that thing.
yeah, the idea being that negative energy gets trapped trying to count all the things. And so that's why sometimes you'll see shattered glass as being something that people will put into witch bottles. So the ones that I have visible, I like to be very pretty and I like to be decorative. A decorated broom above a doorway. Again, the idea is that negative energy will get caught in the bristles and they'll get distracted counting all the bristles. Or putting the bottles near the doorway that have a lot of sand or salt or grains of rice in it so that the negative energy gets trapped. But make them pretty because, they're going to be displayed. But if you are going to bury one, this is where you can put your ugly stuff. This is where you can put your do not mess with me magic. So if you are going to bury something, I like to use eggshells as my jar because it's a little more natural. It's not going to hurt anything in the yard. And also, the idea of eggshells as being protective is very, very strong. Have you ever tried to crush an egg in your hand? It's kind of hard. Also, it's a good protection for life growing inside it, right? And what is the bubble that we're trying to put around our homes, if not protection for the life inside it? So you can make your witch bottle out of a shell, an eggshell, and put in your shattered glass, your nails, your items that are going to trap and hold any baneful energy into that shell. And those you can bury in your yard. I also like ground shells, eggshells, in place of salt when doing protection circles. Not purification, because eggshells aren't really for purification. But what do you think about eggshells as protection barriers versus salt?
I do like that. And what turned me on to that idea, and you are going to laugh so hard, what turned me on to that idea years ago was remembering back when you ruined the roof of your childhood home because you kept putting salt circles on.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me because sometimes salt shouldn't be on certain surfaces for extended periods, whereas eggshells, and not that I'm a grower, I'm trying hard though. But if you have a garden or grass or what have you, the salt will kind of kill that off, whereas eggshells are pretty harmless. So, yeah, you being irresponsible with salt is what turned me on to eggshells ultimately.
Yeah, kind of me too. It's one of those, oh, I make a mistake and learn from it moments. Yeah, that was that.
I wonder if that house still has that circle on the roof.
Oh gosh, that's funny. Now I need to go find out. The thing with eggshells is I really like it if you're going to make a circle. You know how we used to actually cast circle by you'd walk it with the incense and then you'd walk it with the candle, you'd walk it with the water, and then maybe you'd walk it with dirt or with seeds or something, or sometimes people walked it with salt.
Right.
I really like the idea of a circle of crushed eggshells instead of salt. I know some people push back on that because eggshells don't have the purification properties that salt does. If you need purification, I think that we can get that by adding other things to the eggshells. Like you could add ash maybe to help with the purification, or you could add herbs to give the purification. But eggshells themselves, because of their very nature, I think provide a lot of protection. And you can get white eggshells, white for purity or for protection. You can also get brown eggshells that I think would bring a lot of grounding energy, would bring a lot of earth energy. Blue eggshells, if you're looking for divine protection or if you're looking for inspiration when you're casting a circle. And even like light green eggshells bring in like that nature energy. So I really love the idea of eggshells replacing salt as far as casting circles. Again, not for purification, but for protection and circle casting purposes.
I have actually, in the past, in my previous home, I buried a little, like a pentacle that you would get as like a necklace, a little pentacle pendant in all four corners of my property. So, you know, amulets again is another good option as well.
I love that. I love that. And putting the brooms over your doors, I really like that. A lot of people get the
You
cinnamon
like
brooms,
brooms? No way.
right? Surprise. The cinnamon brooms that people get around Yule, if you have those, you can decorate them and put them up over a door. I like to take the ones that don't smell so nice anymore and I put them up over different windows. Like I have a couple old ones in my office over a window. My husband's got them in his office over a window, but they're nice to kind of decorate, to consecrate as a spell, and then to put them up as protection, especially around Imbolc this time of year, cleansing that space, sweeping that negative energy out. And I know we've talked before about sweeping energy, but just a quick refresher. If you are trying to sweep energetically, you should sweep from the back door to the front door to get rid of negative energy, or from the center of the room out to get rid of that negative energy.
I hear you, but I'm also the same person who throws a cinnamon stick out the door. So, here we are. Here we
Actually, I'm
are.
glad you mentioned that because Imbolc is the first. If you want to just do something simple with cinnamon, cinnamon is a fire herb, perfect for Brigid, perfect for that fire holiday. Cinnamon also helps to keep ants out of your house. And as everything starts to thaw, you might start to get ants. So you can mix cinnamon and some salt, or cinnamon and some crushed eggshells, and sprinkle it like inside your windows.
Just be careful if you have cats. That's
That's
all.
right. Sprinkle it inside where the window closes, not on the windowsill, so that it's like trapped in there in the window. Use just a tiny little bit of cinnamon in some oil to mark your doors and to bring that fire Brigid energy into your house.
One thing I've done because I have cats is I created a little jar, probably about 2-inch glass jar, and in that I put a bay leaf and ground cinnamon and kind of use that as opposed to the blowing or what have you method, just
Mm-hmm.
because I have cats that are curious as hell and need to look and touch and lick everything.
Yeah, I also really have gotten into the idea of taking the cinnamon stick, and instead of throwing the cinnamon stick or throwing ground cinnamon into the house, blowing through the cinnamon stick,
Ooh.
thinking a word like money and blowing that word through the
Ooh.
cinnamon stick. And then you don't have to worry about your kitty cats,
I like that because I always have a cinnamon stick in my money bowl. Good
right? Oh, I
idea.
love the idea of using the one from your money bowl for that. That's awesome. And you can use the same one every month. Very cool.
We're just full of great ideas here.
We are. My last idea is for a little craft for Bridget's holiday is to make some witch bells. I love the idea of witch bells. Witch bells are basically just like a little wreath, just a small hang on your door handle kind of wreath that has little ribbons that might have bells and charms and herbs and things hanging from it. And they're just not magic with sound magic as well. And again, Brigid and Imbolc is all about sound magic. And so putting witch bells for protection or creating witch bells for protection is a really great Imbolc craft to do as well.
It really is. And I laugh that you say that because I actually, the other day, received a gift from one of my coven mates here. And what I got was witch bells.
Look how beautiful.
Mine actually, it has three bells on a wreath, and it has a sun pendant, a key, and a little glass jar with herbs in it. So, yeah, I'm hanging that up for Imbolc. I can't believe you said that because I
I love
literally just got
that.
that the other day.
What a great Imbolc craft or gift to do is to make just like a little door handle wreath with some ribbon and some charms to bring protection and to call in the energies that you want into your home for this season of the growing light, the growing sun, and my birthday.
Must be the season of the witch.
Now, because Imbolc is the full moon, one last reminder. What I highly recommend, Imbolc is going to be super, super powerful this year. So I would suggest that you do your whole house cleansing and warding beforehand. Set your intentions for Imbolc because it's a great time for this divination and this magic. But you want to set your intentions a week or so before Imbolc when that moon is waxing. So as the moon is growing in strength, that's when you want to set your intentions. So start your house cleansing, start setting your intentions a week or so, like now, right after you hear this episode. Start now. And then as we get closer to Imbolc, that power will be growing. And then on Imbolc itself, on this fire holiday, this cross-quarter holiday, the moon will be at the height of power. Full moon energy. That's when you want to complete your spell, release your intentions to the universe, take advantage of that fire, full moon, amazing energy, and set some powerful, positive intentions for your life for the coming year on that day. So get it all ready and set up the week before Imbolc, and then on Imbolc, let it all go with that full moon and put it in motion.
And if it happens to be your birthday on Imbolc, that means this is going to be one hell of a year for you to accomplish all of the things that you are preparing for and sowing the seeds for now.
Yeah, I think so. I think for all of us, there's a lot of energies, good and bad, but I think we're going to hold on to the good things. We're going to ride that good energy into 2026. So, set some good intentions for this fire festival coming up. Grab that energy, grab the good things, hold on to the good stuff and the people that you love around you and let's celebrate this fiery festival and the return of the sun and my birthday.
Before we sign off here, folks, I have one last Imbolc ask of you. But I would like, if you've got a minute, if you've got a moment in your day, will you please send my bestest friend in the whole wide world a birthday card? Because that would make her so happy.
Aw.
And when we've done this every year, the look on her face, and she might not admit it to you guys, but like she's actually cried before, and I really want to see her cry again.
Thanks for throwing me under the bus. But yeah, it's true.
If you have a moment to spare, if you could send Layla a birthday card to Back on the Broomstick, P.O. Box 106, Salem, Massachusetts 01970, you would make her cry, which makes me laugh. I'd
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Well, thank you, I think. So I have an announcement before we go.
Ooh, do tell.
February 3rd is our third anniversary.
Oh
Back
my
on the
God.
Broomstick, 3 years old.
Oh my
It's our
God.
third birthday.
I love it. I love it.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty stoked about the fact that that will mark that we have been doing this for 3 years.
Love
Pretty
it.
cool. And so here's to another amazing year with you, another amazing year with our listeners, and another year filled with magic and mayhem and wonderfulness. I'm very excited for all of it.
So happy birthday, happy Imbolc, happy anniversary. And wow, I can't wait for another year of funness
Me
with Back
either.
on the Broomstick.
Thank you guys so much. Leave us some likes, reviews, some stars. Really helps the show out, helps people to find us, and we greatly appreciate it. Send us some mail to our P.O. Box. Maybe we'll answer your questions on air, or we will talk about the lovely gifts or things that you have sent us. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much to all of our benefactors. We would not have made it to year number 3 without you. We greatly appreciate it. Our listeners, whether they realize it or not, greatly appreciate it. So thank you all for being a benefactor. We love you guys. So that being said, I'm going to get out there and, I don't know, I'm definitely not going to start cleaning my house, but at some point I will. So while I'm avoiding that,
You're going to incubate your cleaning ideas.
there you go. I'm going to go play a video game and incubate my cleaning ideas. You make it sound so good, Chelle.
I do. And you know what? I think I'm going to come up with another tarot spread, so I got to go.
All right. Well, we will see you all later. While we're busy procrastinating cleaning our houses, you guys be wise, be wicked.
And keep it witchy, folks, for the 3rd year in a row.